Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebar2go.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we talk about Canada and their impact on the bourbon industry. My name is Justine Mays. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Matt Modica, Kathy Kuhl, and Tim Swyatt.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, so we're going to be talking about Canada, that situation. We'll get into, where it stands, what's going on. We'll talk about all that after the break and more as well. So we've got some breaking news. Tim's been doing some research. We'll let him share that. And we'll get to all that stuff after the break. For right now, though, we're going to talk to Tim because Tim said there's something you want to talk about. What is that, sir?
All right. Socks.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of wearing socks at all, period. Now, dress shoes, different story. Dress situation, but casual. Family keeps on trying to buy me socks that are smell like vanilla. They're warm. They're this.
I think I know why. If you don't wear socks, your feet stink, and they're trying to give you scented
this
socks.
This is not it.
Because literally your feet are stinking up the house.
What if they were the socks that have aloe vera or lotion and make your feet all nice?
They're not sending a message. They sent the message with the feet masks and the scrubbing pumice stones before. So
there's something there. There's stench. You're not he's not detecting his own brand. That's the problem. So his feet are stinking.
I wash between my toes every day. There are people here, probably on this podcast, that when they get in the shower, they don't even wash between their toes every day.
That's horrible.
And you know what happens to that, right?
You know what happens to them, don't you? Their feet stink.
And fungus.
And fungi.
You got to rub all in between those. Sorry,
but Tim's feet stink. I get it. If Chicago in the summertime, if you're putting on shoes with no socks and then peeling them off at 9:00 at night after you've worked all day and then gone to an evening event and then come strolling in the house and peel off those shoes, they can probably smell them in the kids' rooms across the house.
I have questions. Questions. When you go to work, what kind of shoes are you wearing?
I'm wearing dress shoes. So either
you're wearing
leather
socks.
or none of these. I try not to wear these gym shoes that look like dress shoes, but I end up gravitating them because it's like you're walking on air.
Well, at some point you get old.
That was genius, by the way, whoever did that.
Right.
It is genius, yes.
Right.
So what about tennis shoes?
No socks. I buy a brand of shoes that are meant to breathe, to not have to worry about that. Yes. I buy a brand out of Hawaii on purpose to wear without socks.
Yeah.
And I wash those shoes too as well, about once every 30 to 45 days. In the washing machine, the whole shebang.
Chicago summers. He's not washing, he's washing every 30 to 45 days. So twice during the summer they get washed.
Yeah.
What was your question? Or is this just about your feet stinking?
This is about my feet habit. No. I can't. I have a hard time wearing these fluffy socks, this, that, and these Like I don't even
Well,
wear.
they all
like,
have to be fluffy
socks.
these days. There's
Socks. Give me
Dude,
black socks. Give me white socks.
What about when it's cold? Do you get your woolly socks?
No, I can't stand them. Too sweaty.
But when it's super cold, woolly socks are the best.
Nope. Not for me. That's what I'm curious on. I'm clearly the minority in this situation.
I'm with you with I don't want the thick woolly socks.
Fine, but do you wear socks?
though. I wear socks and I enjoy like the patterns and stuff. And I was looking, I've got a vendor sock on right now that's orange and it's got clouds all over it and stuff. But like I like unique socks, and I that's kind of my thing. And so I'll try to do that.
I'm wearing socks right now, and I can't stand them. It's like these specific ones are supposed to smell like vanilla. They're supposed to be soothing,
Smell
this,
like
that, and the
vanilla.
other, and I can't stand them.
Justine left.
Grippies on the bottom
Justine
too.
was so grossed out.
She's so offended she left.
No, I want to show you the socks I got for Christmas.
She's just now opening the
Yeah, it
package.
looks like they're wrapped
Yeah,
up.
she loves them so much.
They're
She's just
still
opening
wrapped.
them.
They're open.
It's January 10th, folks. Yeah.
They were open. I just didn't take the tape off of the one side.
See?
Oh, I love them.
Those
There
are
it
good.
goes. My last flying F.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So novelty
F
socks.
is not Fox out there.
Yes.
Novelty socks,
That's the
which
kind
are
of stuff I
fun.
wear.
Yeah. I mean, they put a star where the U goes, but the intention is the word fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Can we say that? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So
21 and over.
Another explicit label. Okay.
yeah. Some guy.
No, I'm
yelled
not that
at me
person
for
that's
that.
wearing dress shoes with no socks. That's like the new
That's
2
disgusting.
buttons down on guys with business casual. You can't go 2 buttons down. You're not. Your chest.
But I'm
isn't that
telling you, their Hawaiian shoes stink. I'm telling you, those things smell bad, and your family is revolting. They're buying you vanilla scented socks for a reason. They stink.
They're supposed to be for the holidays. They got whiskey bottles on them. They're trying, but yes, I must not be listening to the message.
Yeah.
So socks.
Get some
Nobody goes for
pedicures.
sockless.
I the only time I'm sockless is if it's sandals. I don't wear sandals and socks like some people do, but I don't.
Oh God, no. Yes. You're not
Summertime
Steinkamp.
sandals, I don't wear socks. Other than that, I
No,
have socks.
Steinkamp's a sandals with socks kind of guy.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
I can see that.
Crocs
Yeah.
with socks.
So we have out of doors pants, we have in of doors pants. When we're at home, there are no socks.
So there's
when
no
we're
pants.
No, there's in of door pants.
In of doors, okay. Like sweatpants or whatever.
House pants.
House pants, sure.
Yeah.
It's a comfy
House pants.
You want to be comfy.
House shoes, no socks.
I recently switched to the
Sums me up pretty
Bombas.
well
you
right
like?
there, Kathy.
You guys like the Bombas? Bombas, they got those.
Linda loves the Bombas.
Bombas are great,
Those
and they
don't
got.
last. You're lucky to get 20 days out of them.
Oh, bull! Yeah, I've got my Bombas. I wear them every day. They're perfectly fine. Yeah, they got the gription bottom. I can walk around. I don't slip, which is, could be a problem at my age and my size.
People are in hospitals who have a fall risk.
I love hospital socks. I have several pair of hospital socks. That's
Oh,
Well, the
usually
Bombas are kind of like that. The Bombas are kind of
usually what I wear around my house.
like
I
Bombas.
did that,
Wear your
You can't
Bombas.
be too careful. You're home alone, Justine.
You're home alone. Yeah.
for sure.
So-
I wear
so
my
for-
chewed up Nike slide.
No, that's the worst thing you can be wearing. You definitely fall out of slides. That's why they even call them slides, because you slide out of them. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it's
my
like
dogs
walking on
tend to walk on the back of them, but my feet aren't in socks. I get the at home not wearing socks thing. I do.
For Christmas,
I'm on Team Swiat with at home not wearing
No,
socks.
not if you've been out in the sun all day doing whatever it is you're doing, and you come home and you peel off your stinky shoes and you're smelling up the house. No, you live alone. That's fine if you live alone. You can stink up your
alone.
house all you want. You can stink up your house all you want. But if you live with someone, which Swiat does, you don't be. You have some respect for people, even though you're married to them or you're the father of them. You still be like, they're a human being, and they deserve some respect and to live in a house that doesn't smell like my stinky ass feet. That's what I say.
You could just give your feet a little wash.
Yeah.
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 If you're walking around with flip flops all day
Sounds
long,
very
come on, I get it. You gotta wash
70s
your feet when you walk
fatherish.
in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, my dad, his day, you didn't give a fuck about what your wife thought or your kids thought or anything like that. You just did whatever you wanted. My dad would come home and strip down to a pair of tidy whities, and that's all he would wear.
Oh,
And then
that's the first thing that happens when you walk in the door.
he just stroll around, and didn't. We had, he had a daughter, he had a son. It didn't fucking matter, And by the way, if we had our friends over. He may or may not have put on clothes when they came walking in, and then oh shit, there's your dad in his underwear, and he'd be
That's
cussing
one
us
way
out.
to keep the neighborhood kids out of the house.
Yeah, God damn it, what the hell are you doing in here?
I'm with him on that. But we have upgraded from tidy whities to armachillos with the bullpen. That's important. That's different for us guys.
I'm sorry, what?
Avoid the bat wings.
I don't think you want to. You have a daughter. You're walking around with this. That basically frames it. It's like framing your junk. Here it is.
At least you know what it is.
That's why
No,
you're wearing
we're-
clothes.
Wake
Okay, well,
up the
just like
dog.
on every other show, we drink bourbon.
Right.
So, Steve,
Who wants to see that on their dad? Nobody. Yeah.
I don't walk around. God, I don't go walk in the room.
Any
with them.
child wants to think of their dad like G.I. Joe. When we were kids, we had the G.I. Joe, and you're changing his outfit. It's like, yeah, he's got nothing going on there. Yeah, that's when you think your dad's.
I don't walk in with the underwear. I don't know.
All right, on that note, it's time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Matt.
Okay.
I'd go high proof for the cleansing purposes.
It wasn't. It's not super. It's 110. Hardin's Creek. This is the mushroom.
Okay, the mushroom.
One.
The mushroom, yes. Okay, solid.
Yeah, but I feel like the motion of the cork pop came after the sound.
That's true.
Oh.
I think he might have been cheating there. So, well.
Maybe.
Can you put an algorithm on that
specialist.
for us, Monica?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right,
Tap magic on that.
Justine, what do you got?
I have Bourbon Deluxe.
Okay.
This is 111 proof.
Okay. Okay, no, not enough. Matt still has the lead. I'll go next. I got Leopold Brothers 9, 115 proof. This, if you could dump it on Tim's feet, they would smell much better. That I can assure you. All right, Matt still has the lead. Not much there. The healing properties overtook the cork there. So, yeah, not a lot going on there. All right, KK's next.
Oh, okay. I'm going to open a brand new bottle of Peerless Bourbon Toasted, also 111 proof.
Okay.
Going for a win.
Yeah, that's probably going to be about as locked down as it can be, unless Tim comes up with the miracle here. Tim, this would be your best cork pop in years if you can pull this one out.
This is
Because
true.
Kathy,
In years.
Yeah.
I got to count how many shows I've been on where I filled cork pops. But I am a cork pop champion at one point in time because I got the T-shirt.
he's got the
I'm going to
t-shirt.
go with a last show pour of my Rush Creek single barrel. This is a double oak bourbon. Comes in at 127.1 proof, just to make sure I can sanitize my feet.
Nothing there though.
God
Nothing
damn, it was
there.
deep,
So-
pure.
Yeah. So KK wins. Cheers to her.
Yay,
Cheers,
me!
KK.
Cheers.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking about Canada specifically, and then we'll get into some other things as well. We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of executive bourbon steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your executive bourbon steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your executive bourbon steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com. And now, back to the show.
Hello, this is Daddy Kennard, and I'm recording on the ABV network.
Welcome back. Today on the show, we are talking about Canada and their impact on the bourbon industry.
Yes, we are. So again, the bourbon industry, over $9 billion industry. Much of that is Kentucky bourbon, which is $8.6 billion of that $9 billion plus industry. And Canada imports about, and this has been consistent, I saw, pretty consistent for the last several years anyway, about $40 million worth of bourbon a year that they're buying. Specifically bourbon. Now there's other categories that they buy, distilled spirits, vodka and gins and all that kind of stuff. But bourbon specifically about $40 million. And the U.S. reciprocates. They do buy Canadian whiskey, and they buy about $2.1 billion worth of Canadian whiskey. So obviously there's a huge trade gap there for sure. And it makes you feel like we've got some reciprocal buying that needs to be done. Or is Canada not that great of a market? When you look at only $40 million, that's not a lot compared to the amount that we're buying. And again, I get it, we're a much bigger population, but it doesn't seem like it also equates to the population discrepancy. That's a huge, huge difference, 40 million versus 2.1 billion. So that's crazy to think about, right? Those are crazy numbers.
So how much whiskey is Canada making?
That's an interesting point, because barrel sales, just oak barrel sales to Canada through 2025 are up about 6% year over year. I think my stats here are right for this article I'm looking at.
Okay.
Empty barrels.
So there is an expansion of, during the same period of 2025, barrel imports of oak casks and barrels has rose by 6% into Canada, suggesting there's an increased investment in Canadian distilling capacity.
Yeah.
So there's always been a whole thing about Canadian whiskey. They are keeping some of their best stuff north of the border.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, knowing some of the Canadian distillers that I've interacted with over the years, and this is prior to all this stuff going on.
Yeah. They also, again, Canada, it's been a big flex for them that, they've pulled the bourbon off the shelf. You can't buy it. You can't even bring it into the country, by the way. So if you're Canadian, you're like, I'm bringing back a couple bottles of my favorite bourbon, they'll confiscate it. It's like, no, bourbon's not allowed here. So if you've got it, it's not illegal for you to have it. So if you had it in your collection, you can own it, but you're not allowed to bring it into the country, whether that's through illegal importing or through bringing it in as a person. So Renee told us that. So I'm just taking what a Canadian told us.
Correct.
So that's
on top of that too, Steve, this is where it gets really, you start getting really into legal nuances of trade agreements. From what I was reading, this is prior to today, when I was reading this the other day, was that we have a trade agreement with the rest of the world that they cannot label products as bourbon.
correct. Yeah,
It's
this
a
is
trade agreement.
Davin de Kergamo, who is the Mike Veach of Canada, pointed this out, and that
Yes.
is that who you're referring to? So yes,
That's what
it's
I'm
a
referring
trade
to.
agreement, and he went so far as to say if this continues, Canada may opt out of that trade agreement and begin producing Canadian bourbon, which that's a hell of a line in the sand to draw.
That is, yeah. You want to talk about sending shots across the border? That would do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would get ugly. Again, they can opt out of things, but I would assume there'd be ramifications that they don't want. I mean, the biggest one. Let's be honest. The biggest one is if the U.S. would ever say, okay, then we're not. Canadian whiskey is illegal in America, which we've seen do things with like Cuban cigars and stuff like that.
Right.
Boy, $2.1 billion they're sending down here for us to consume, and we're drinking that. I don't think they want to play that game, do they?
No, let's be honest. I mean, Canadian whiskey sales. For somebody who does a lot of blind tastings, and I throw a Canadian whiskey in there, some of the best that I think is out there. I even did a Canadian whiskey tasting at the ABV Barrel Shop a couple of years ago too, as well. An impressive whiskey being made up there, but there is not a lot of fans. The price points would make you look at bottom shelf bourbon prices based on how disjointed the market was over all this time. If you're comparing the last 5 years or so to history, they were a very well outsized American bourbon, American whiskey versus external.
But we're not really importing that stuff. We're importing Crown Royal.
Crown Royal is the big one. That's
and
the big
all of its variances.
Right. Yes, that is also very true.
I guess some perspective between 2022 and 24, Canadian imports exceeded 250 million annually, making Canada the second largest market for American whiskey, bourbon, rum, and other distilled spirits, and that's from the USDA in 2025. In March 25, Canada effectively halted imports and sales of U.S. wine and spirits, so not just spirits, but also American wine producers as well, in retaliation due to the tariffs and the whole trade disputes going on. And these are the provincial liquor boards, each decided to remove American products from shelves, triggering what they call a dramatic plunge in U.S. exports. Canada also imposed a 25% retaliatory tariff and all that stuff, but that's all been removed recently.
Correct.
But
though the bans have stayed, they're not importing any still. Well, not some of the provinces are, Renee says, but again, they're the smaller ones. They're independent. They can
Alberta,
do.
I think Alberta's still importing. They're going on their own. But Saskatchewan, Ontario, and Nova Scotia for sure have pulled whiskey off the shelves, American whiskey. But I just find it interesting that everybody's focusing on 2022 to 24 as comparison, not in history. But that's probably where a lot of the boom is still there. That's where a lot of the capacity was put on by American spirits producers and everything. But fast forward to exports in 25 during the same period, basically March to September, it was only 35 million. 35 million. So from 160 million on average to 35 million, and then now zero. They've stopped. They're liquidating and they stopped. But they are importing our barrels because they don't have the cooperages.
They don't have the cooperages. So that's an issue. The biggest problem is, to pivot and say, okay, we're going to make bourbon, or we're going to make a bourbon-like product. That's something we can't stop them from doing. Even with the trade agreement in place, they're still part of it, which they are as of right now, of course. They can make a product that mirrors bourbon. It has a mash bill that's more than 51% corn. There's nothing proprietary about that. Put in a brand new oak barrel. But the thing is, their climate is not as conducive to aging that whiskey. So it's more along the lines of what happens. That's why that's in used barrels typically, because it's going to have to be in there for years and years till. That's why it's not uncommon to taste some really good stuff and to find out, oh, that's a 30-year-old Canadian whiskey. A 30-year-old Canadian whiskey is very different than a 30-year-old American whiskey because you're talking about a very different climate. So it's much colder up there, as we know. So, yeah. So
yeah. No, well, on top, you're right. Think about the Canadian process too. The Canadian process does not. They do not create their fermented mash with all grains milled together like American producers do. They distill each individual grain, corn, rye, wheat, barley, oat, whatever they're doing separately as a single grain.
For the most part.
Then they blend. For the most part, yes.
There are some that are doing kind of like an American style, and they're allowed to do that legally.
Absolutely.
In Canada too. So, but for the most part, it is done individually. So then you blend. It's all about blending the whiskey together. So it's just fascinating stuff. But that Davin DeCurgamo article was like, whoa, he's really
You had him
thinking.
on the Bourbon Show before.
He's
A
been
number
on.
of years ago. He's a great dude.
He is a great dude. He's been on the show before. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right about that. And he thinks that the relationship between the U.S. and Canada, in terms of whiskey, that doesn't necessarily mean everything else, but in terms of whiskey, is over. But again, he's also thinking from the standpoint of Canada buying U.S. whiskey. He's not thinking about the other way around. If America stops buying Canadian whiskey, that could cause some real problems for him. So we'll see what happens. I just hope everything gets worked out, that we get past all this nonsense, and it's politicians fighting, and everyone else gets hurt. The people who have the jobs, the people who like the whiskey, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Tim,
I just think it's funny though. I'll just say this too. You see the Scots and the Irish just keeping their mouths shut in this whole thing.
Yep.
They are selling
Yep.
a ton of spirits.
yes, yeah,
Irish whiskey is seeing its largest growth rates, but their profit margins are not expanding. So they have to go down market in order to be able to achieve that growth, which is interesting because it's funny because some of these whiskey groups I'm with, people are starting to try other things now just because they're just expanding their palates. They're going back to Scotch or trying Scotches and trying whiskeys and Irish whiskeys, and they're realizing like, wow, this is great. This is so great. And it's 80 proof.
right.
Yeah.
Or it's 86 or 83 or 85.
Yeah.
It's not your fuller proof whiskeys that they've been drinking before, which of course it's going to taste differently and ideally more pleasant if you're not used to that. If you're going to use the word smooth.
I've always liked Irish whiskey in terms of the taste. I just feel like it's a one-note song, though. It just,
Very true.
it's not enough in terms of proof. There's not enough oomph there. And again, while not unpleasant, it doesn't have the nuance and layer of flavors like we see in a bourbon. So again, while I don't dislike Irish whiskey, I also am not a huge fan of it either because it just doesn't.
I just find it funny that the Scots and the Irish are just sitting back.
Not
watching.
saying a word. Not
Yep.
saying a word.
Let's watch this thing play out.
Yeah.
There's
Interesting.
market share being flown around here, and what I love about the whiskey industry, and I'll close on this one, but I'll shut up, is that the whiskey industry has always been about growing the size of the pie,
Right.
not necessarily growing your slice.
Mm-hmm.
If sales continued to increase and my slice stayed the same, all my problems are still fixed. Now there's a little different take on this right now. Competition is really starting to pick up, and this will be very interesting to watch as a consumer because prices are going to have to come down in order to get our dollars on a lot of this, or
Yeah.
the stuff's going to have to be really special in order for us to pay up.
Yeah. All right, Tim. You said there's some other stuff that you saw, kind of breaking news type of things. What else is going on in the world of whiskey that you wanted to share?
No, that was just the Canadian stuff about the barrels. I find it interesting that the barrel imports are increasing because they don't have the cooperages. So that means Canadian distilleries are expanding. So
Right.
does that mean expanding capacity, or are they expanding on number of days they're distilling? Some of my friends that are running distillers that I've met over the years, they haven't added capacity, but they've added extra days or times with the stills running to add more. If I can put one or two more barrels down a week, I'm happy because I got the opportunity to do so. But I think the barrel importing showing that they're putting on capacity because you look at Hiram Walker. Hiram Walker's our Jim Beam.
Right.
And Dr. Don Livermore is a tremendous blender and a tremendous whiskey producer. And what he does is he's an amazing. If you're not drinking anything Hiram Walker or know his Lot 40 brand or anything like that, you're missing out on some very interesting craft in a very large facility, an industrial producer. But to see them putting on capacity and importing barrels at 6%, that's a pretty good clip on number of barrels.
Yeah.
They already import a ton. But that means that Independent Stave and Kelvin Cooperage, that stuff is starting to hum. And I kind of chuckle with Brown Forman selling their cooperage to ISC and getting out of that business, not controlling that whole supply chain. How's that going to work over the years?
Yeah.
That's very interesting from an economic and business perspective.
But sure sounds like Canada needs to get some Coopers, though, right? I mean, they certainly have the
trees.
resource. They got the trees. So, it just seems to make some sense. Why go down to the U.S. to get the barrels if you make them at home? So, yeah.
So the other part I was bringing up, too, is I was kind of researching is they haven't touched Northern Rye yet.
Mm-hmm.
The imports, we tend to import Canadian rye.
Right.
The majority of the big producers import Canadian rye, Alberta rye. If they start messing with that, there's another bright line. We talked about potentially getting out of the trade agreement, start making bourbon-like recipes and marketing as bourbon. We know how well that went with the bourbon mash Crown Royal back in the day, how that got
Right.
yanked pretty quickly. But that was under agreed upon trade agreements. But if they start messing with rye imports and how the grains, that could be very, very interesting to see the renaissance and farming of rye in America too as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there you go. There's a little bit about what's going on in Canada and the rest of the world, and interesting stuff for sure. It definitely has major impact on the industry and how the industry is perceived, and our two countries for sure. So hopefully. Hopefully this stuff gets resolved. On that note, we're going to wrap this one up by talking about where people can find us. Matt, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Matt Monica.
All right, Tim.
You can find me on Instagram at SwyGuy2112 and on YouTube at our flagship whiskey.
All right, KK.
I am on Instagram at KK Cast Strength.
All right, Justine.
You can find me on Instagram at JA_Maze.
All right. For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. Also, come by and see me at the ABV Barrel Shop. We have online events, where we can bring you in and do some cool things at the shop. We get guest speakers all the time. We keep track of that as well as a lot of other things over at abvbarrelshop.com. Also, check out my YouTube videos over at Bourbon Sasquatch. Justine, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. Also, if you like what we're doing, please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
See you, everyone.
Bye.
Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing. The ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you're in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri. Or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.